Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Monday, August the 26th. We got a 7-game Monday slate. We're going to start off with pitching like we always do, work our way through the pitcher-player pool. I'll be sure to hit on all the pitchers that I like for today. Then we'll talk about 3 specific hitters I really like for DraftKings and for Yahoo. Then we'll look at some stacks, and then towards the end of the video, we will cover some BVP plays for those of you interested in BVP. Before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you don't miss out on any of my new videos. So starting off at the top of the pitcher-player pool, it's a pretty gross pitching slate. There's one guy that stands out above everyone else, and that's Sonny Gray. On DraftKings, Gray's $11,200. Then your next most expensive guy is Adam Wainwright at $9,600, which is just really confusing. Don't know why you would want to play Wainwright today. So Gray, clearly the best pitcher on the slate. He's in a matchup with the Marlins that is really good for right-handed pitchers. It's a great ballpark to pitch in as well in Miami. This is just such a good spot for Sonny Gray. He's been a great pitcher this year, and he's the guy that I'm going to be trying to force in as much as possible. On Yahoo, he's at $53. I still think he's a top play over there as well. So getting this matchup, very favorable, obviously. Gray's already faced the Marlins once this year. He did get hurt in that game. He only threw 4 innings. He did get hurt. Still got 19 DraftKings points in 4 innings. 4 innings, 6 Ks, only allowed 2 hits. That was when he faced the Marlins earlier this year, and it was a brief outing because he did get injured. But lately, Gray's just been an elite pitcher, getting double-digit strikeouts in 2 straight games, double-digit Ks. 3 of his last 4 games, he's got over 27 DraftKings points. Gray's just been pitching great this year. This is such a good spot. He clearly is the number 1 pitcher on the slate. It's kind of hard to avoid him as well because there's really no expensive bats you want to get in. Like right now, the highest total on the slate is between the Brewers and the Phillies, and they're not crazy expensive. Like you could probably still get to them with Sonny Gray. So I don't think you really need to pay down a pitcher today. I think you just start off with Sonny Gray and then kind of work from there, figure out who you want to play at SP2 and which bats you want to go to. But there's really no one I like at the top besides Gray. Like Wainwright, Homer Bailey, and Brad Keller are going to be guys I'd probably avoid today. Just don't feel the interest in them. If I'm going to pay for someone towards the top for a mid-range SP2, it's definitely going to be Dustin May. I actually like Dustin May quite a bit today. He's $8,500 on DraftKings, which is pretty expensive. If you play Gray and May together, you're still left with $37.87 remaining per player, which you should be able to work around. But over on Yahoo, it's pretty easy to play Gray and May together. May's at $35. You put him in there with Sonny Gray, and you're still left with $14 remaining per player, which on Yahoo you use pretty easily to work around. So I like going to these 2 guys for pitching. Looking at Dustin May here against the Padres, it is a very favorable matchup. The Padres do have a lot of strikeouts in their lineup versus right-handed pitching. Right now, they have a pretty low implied run total, just a 3.9 implied run total. No Fernando Tatis, he's on the IL. Looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So that takes one of the good hitters out of this lineup. You replace him with a guy like Greg Garcia, who doesn't strike out a ton, but it's really not that good of a hitter. With no Franmil Reyes, who is a good power bat, does strike out, but Reyes has a lot of power. You're replacing him with a guy like Josh Naylor, who doesn't have as much power and not as much of a strikeout hitter, doesn't strike out as much, but just not a good hitter overall. It's just not that dangerous of a lineup. Once you get past like Machado, it's a lot of easy outs in here, especially when you get to the bottom, there's a lot of strikeouts as well. So I like Dustin May quite a bit. Pretty talented young pitcher. He's had some decent games this year against the Marlins, against the Cardinals. He did already make an appearance earlier this year against the Padres. Wasn't great. I know he was cruising through that start. After like 5 innings, he had like 20 DraftKings points. And then it just kind of all went downhill in 1 inning. He gave up like 2 or 3 runs in 1 inning and kind of lost like 10 DraftKings points. He was pitching pretty well against the Padres, and then he had like 85 pitches. I was very surprised that they let him come out to start the 6th inning. Pretty surprising. That's kind of when it all went downhill. But he was really good against the Cardinals. He was good against the Marlins. He did make a relief appearance against the Braves and really struggled. But I'm not really factoring in that. The Braves are a tough matchup. It was a relief appearance. I expect May is going to be fully stretched out here. Last time he pitched a full game was on the 13th, so just about 2 weeks ago he threw 90 pitches. Should be able to go as long as he possibly can here. So he's going to be a guy that I look to a lot for an SP2. But then once you get past Gray and May, there's a lot of question marks. Not really any guys that stand out that I feel like are clear plays. Like some of the other ones that catch my eye, a guy like Alex Young in San Francisco against the Giants at 7,500 for sure would be someone I would get exposure to if I was playing multiple lineups. Even J.A. Happ. I know J.A. Happ has been terrible this year, but a lefty facing the Mariners in Seattle, very favorable pitcher's park. The Mariners have been terrible this year against left-handed pitching. Even though J.A. Happ's been pretty bad as well, I still think he's playable today since it is a pretty short slate, just 7 games. At 7,100, he's for sure someone you could look to. Then if you're really trying to punt, Joe Musgrove and Derek Rodriguez are definitely 2 guys that I think are playable for value. Musgrove getting to face the Phillies, not the best matchup, but the Phillies might be without Bryce Harper. Harper did go on paternity leave. There's a chance he misses this game, so that's going to take probably their best hitter out of the lineup. It's still a pretty dangerous lineup even without Harper, but if you want to go to Musgrove, he is very cheap. I could see using him. And then Derek Rodriguez, not much to like here, but he's 4,800 and he's pitching in San Francisco. I think that's really all you need to say. Anytime a pitcher is cheap and pitching in San Francisco, I think they're playable because of how much that ballpark favors pitchers. Rodriguez did make a start against the Diamondbacks a couple weeks ago. He was actually pretty good. 7 innings, only allowed 3 hits, got 4 strikeouts, 25 DraftKings points. One of his best starts of the year. He's always been a pitcher that's been better at home, to no surprise. When you pitch in San Francisco, you're always going to be better at home. So I like Rodriguez as a cheap option if you want to go down all the way to him at 4,800. I could see doing that. On Yahoo, it's really not necessary to pay down at pitcher because, you don't really need to go all the way down. You can just get May at 35. You could play Happ at 31. Even go into a guy like maybe Homer Bailey against the Royals at 39. I expect pretty much all my Yahoo lineups are going to start with Sonny Gray and then just mix in a bunch of the different cheap guys in this mid-range for SP2. Mostly going to have a lot of Dustin May, though. But that's kind of it for pitching today. Let's go ahead and look at some bats now. So I do want to start off just looking at this pricing for this slate between DraftKings and Yahoo. The bats are going to differ. There's guys I like on DraftKings that aren't really necessary on Yahoo. And then there's guys that I like on Yahoo that are really cheap, that are kind of expensive on DraftKings. One of those guys is Rhys Hoskins. Very cheap on Yahoo at just $11, but pretty expensive on DraftKings at $4,500. It's tough to fit in a Phillies stack with Sonny Gray, so that's why I'm not going to include Hoskins. But on Yahoo, where Rhys Hoskins is only $11, I really like him as a play. Even just looking at some of the other Philly bats, Corey Dickerson's only $16, Gene Segura only $14, Caesar's only $11, Kingery $12. You can easily fit in a Philly stack with Sonny Gray at pitcher, and Rhys Hoskins should be leading off. Looks like one of the best plays in that Phillies lineup. He's probably one of the best cash game plays at first base. Just too good of a hitter to be this cheap. He's been hitting really well lately. Double-digit fantasy points in 4 straight games. Did homer on Sunday. So maybe Hoskins can get things going. I do like this matchup with Musgrove. Musgrove does give up some home runs to right-handed hitters. And we know how much power Hoskins has from the right side. So he's a guy that I like going to quite a bit on DraftKings. One guy that I like on both sides is Aaron Judge. And the Yankees are definitely a team I'm going to be looking to stack today. Judge is $4,600 on DK. On Yahoo, he's pretty nicely priced at just $15. Cheaper than Gardner, cheaper than Maben. Really stands out over on Yahoo at $15. So right now it's looking like it's going to be Matt Whistler opening for the Mariners, and then Tommy Milone's going to be the long man. If Malone's going to be the long man, I think this is a great spot for the Yankees. They just have so much power versus left-handed pitching. LeMahieu, Judge, Urshela, Sanchez, I think are all really good plays today. You can still consider DD. He's pretty good versus lefties. It's not like he can't hit versus lefties. He can still hit lefties pretty well. Even though Glaber bats towards the bottom of the lineup, he's still one of the better plays in the Yankees lineup as well. Really like the Yankees here, but even if you're not stacking, Aaron Judge as a one-off just feels like a really good play. Still remains a little bit underpriced. He's been heating up lately. The price tag, we're going to see it start to slowly rise as Judge starts to get things going. 2 straight games in a row against the Dodgers where he had really good outings. Homered in both games. We'll see how he does on Sunday night. I think he has to face Kershaw on Sunday night. We'll see how he does in that matchup, but I like Judge regardless here against Tommy Milone. Tommy Milone, a soft tosser, left-handed pitcher. Judge should be able to mash him. Judge always been great versus left-handed pitchers. So I like going to Aaron Judge on both sides. Then going back to DraftKings, a guy that I really like at second base is Josh Van Meter. 3,600 on DK, very cheap. He's someone you could consider on Yahoo as well. He's very cheap over there. I think he's $10, but he does play first base, or on Yahoo he's first base eligible. So that means if you want to play Van Meter, you're going to have to take out Rhys Hoskins, and I think Hoskins is a better play than Van Meter for just $1 more. But if you're like stacking the Reds, I guess you could look to Van Meter. But I do like him a lot on DK, where he's only 3,600. Does have a little bit of power. Pablo Lopez, never been that good of a pitcher. Pitching in Miami is going to be favorable for Lopez, but I still like Van Meter here. Just so cheap, should be leading off. Does have some power, does have a little bit of speed as well. I think he's a really good value one-off from the Reds at only 3,600. To fill out my 5 plays for DraftKings, I'm going to give you a really cheap guy that I think is in play for value. Pablo Reyes is only 2,900 on DraftKings. Right now, he's projected to bat 6th for the Pirates. I think he is a pretty good value here against Jason Vargas. Jason Vargas, always a pitcher I look to stack against. The Pirates don't have that appealing of a lineup versus left-handed pitchers. They don't have a ton of power. Like once you get past Josh Bell, there's really not much power, 5 through 9. But Reyes is just so cheap. Should be batting in a pretty favorable spot, either 5th or 6th. Doesn't have much power, but I think he does have a little bit of speed. So if he gets on base, he could potentially steal against Vargas. Does have 1 stolen base on the year. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been playing much this year. But regardless, I think he is a pretty good value. Only 2,900. Very hard to find guys that cheap that are in a favorable lineup spot and facing a pitcher like Vargas, who has always struggled to right-handed hitters. I think some righties from the Pirates make sense. If you want to play like Kevin Newman or Reynolds or even Marte, you could definitely look there. On Yahoo, there's some pretty favorable pricing here. Like Josh Bell at only $13, I think is one of the better first base plays, along with Rhys Hoskins. Newman, if he leads off, is only $12 on Yahoo. If you want to go to Pablo Reyes, he's minimum salary, so he could be someone you look to. But specifically Bell and Newman, I like quite a bit on Yahoo if you want to go to them. And on DraftKings, if you want to do a 4 or 5 man stack, I could see it. Even though the Pirates don't have a high total, I usually always stack against Vargas when he's on the mound. Just gives up a lot of power to righties. Really never been good versus right-handed hitters. So these are my 5 plays for DraftKings. Now going over to Yahoo to finish out my 5 over here. One guy that I like at third base, and I think a team that's pretty appealing today, are the Athletics here versus Brad Keller. So their pricing on Yahoo is pretty soft. Matt Chapman, only $14 on Yahoo. I like quite a bit at third base. He does stand out as one of the better third base plays. If you can get to a guy like Mike Moustakas against Wainwright for $18, you could go there. You could get to Suarez for $3 more against Pablo Reyes. But I feel like I'm going to be playing a lot of Chapman over on Yahoo at only $14. This is a guy with a lot of power, 29 home runs on the year. Brad Keller will definitely give up home runs as well. Chapman just kind of too cheap for the upside he has. One of the better hitters in the A's lineup, and he's not priced like it at all at only $14. So I like him a lot over on Yahoo given the pricing. But yeah, these are my 5 plays for DK. And for Yahoo today, guys, let's go ahead and look at some stacks, and then we'll talk about some BVP before we end the video. So there's not really any clear standout teams today, in my opinion. Like, no clear standout team with a crazy high total. Like I said earlier, the 2 highest totals on the slate right now are between the Brewers and the Phillies with a 5.1 implied run total. But for stacks, I think some Phillies bats do make sense, especially on Yahoo, where you have really favorable pricing with guys like Hoskins and Segura, Dickerson. You could definitely look there. I'm for sure going to have some exposure to the Brewers versus Adam Wainwright, especially in Miller Park, a great ballpark for hitters. On Yahoo, I know you have a lot of cheap guys in that Brewers lineup. I think Grandal's still really cheap at catcher. He's probably the best catcher play on the slate. I think Mike Moustakas, if you're not playing Chapman's a really good third base play. I'll for sure be looking at some Brewers bats. But for full stacks, I think the A's are going to be a team I look to a lot for full stacks. I think the Yankees are going to be a team I look to a lot for full stacks. And maybe even some Dodgers against Eric Lauer. Specifically the righties, Pollock, Turner, Will Smith, Chris Taylor you could definitely look to. Don't avoid Cody Bellinger or Max Muncy, though, if you're full stacking. They're going to be very low owned, lefty-lefty. They're very expensive, so nobody's going to play them. But if you're full stacking the Dodgers, you could look to those guys. But I do really like Pollock leading off and Turner batting second. Those are 2 guys that do stand out from the Dodgers. That's kind of it for stacks. Let's go ahead and look at some BVP real quick before we end the video. So there are a lot of BVP plays today, but I'm just going to cover the ones that really stand out to me. So just looking through here, Melky Cabrera does have some decent BVP against Vargas, 11 for 31 with 2 home runs. Matt Wieters, 10 for 17 with a home run off Gio. Dexter Fowler, 11 for 26 with a home run off of Gio. Cody Bellinger, 5 for 13 with a home run off Eric Lauer. Lastly, down here at the bottom, Kyle Seager, 5 for 18, 3 home runs off J. Happ. So I think that's it for BVP, guys, and I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like down below. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. But good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.